Hey, y'all, what's going on? It's David Manning.
And humble me.
Y'all, this ChangeTV. We got a real good show for y'all. Don't go nowhere, don't touch nothing. You definitely want to see this one. Y'all, what's going on? It's David Manning. This is ChangeTV. Man, I'm really excited about the guest we got on today. He's a really good friend of mine. He's been there. He's mentored me in a lot of things, but he don't look like what he's been through. He's been through a lot, and he's, man, making a huge impact, man, especially in the community in the city that we're from. But, man, he's making an impact all over the world. And, man, I just wanted to bring him on. Me and Steve wanted to bring him on and share his story. So, man, Derek, man, thank you for coming on ChangeTV
It's good to be here, man.
Yeah.
And I know you've been through a lot, man.
Yeah.
You know, and you've been through some things that a lot of people wouldn't have made it out of. And not only did you make it out, man, you're victorious. And what the one thing that really impacted me was, man, the things that you made it out, you're helping other people come out of.
Right.
And you're changing lives. You know, you didn't just change your life.
Right.
You're changing lives, man, all over the country. And, you know, especially, man, you made a lot of changes in my life and been there for me. So, man, you know, I know that you've been through so much, man. Can you just rewind us back, you know?
Well, you know, we don't have all day, right?
Right,
But, you know,
right.
it's, you know, I started out in the 60s. I grew up in the 60s,
Right.
just like, you know, any normal kid would. But,
Right.
you know, a lot of parents divorced in the 60s. My parents divorced when I was like 5 or 6 years old.
Right.
And I had two brothers, both had muscular dystrophy. And when my parents divorced, I was kind of given the role of responsibility of taking care of them, which was really probably not a good thing for a 6, 7, 8-year-old.
Right.
And so, you know, my mom would, you know, she'd go to work, and when I'd come home from school, I'd have to take care of my brothers. Wow. And that was just a huge responsibility.
So they was older than you or younger than you?
They were younger than me.
Younger than you.
Yeah, I was the oldest. And so my mother remarried when I was 9 years old, and that was good. You know, for about 3 years, we had a good life and with my stepfather. But, you know, my mom was struggling with some things in her own self, you know, and so we ended up moving to Panama City, and she divorced my stepfather, whom I've grown to love, and started calling him Dad.
Right. Wow.
And so that was a big, you know, tragedy, trauma in my life.
Yeah.
And when we moved to Florida, she married this other guy, and Jim was just not a good guy.
Right.
And he abused my mother physically and verbally, and they were both alcoholics. And, you know, I struggled with that, you know, and then he was physically abusive to me, sexually abusive for 3.5 years.
Wow.
He molested me for 3.5 years, and man, I just had to get away from that, you know.
Wow.
So I ended up moving in with my dad for about a year and a half.
Yeah.
That didn't work out. It was like putting lipstick on a pig. You know, I was a long-haired little beach boy and moving into a, you know, a controlled environment where he was trying to put strict, you know, restrictions on.
I
wasn't having it.
Yeah.
So
how old were you when you moved in with your dad?
I was 15.
15.
Yeah, almost 16, and yeah, it just didn't work out. Yeah,
Right.
they put me in a private school, and you know, I was
too crazy.
I was just crazy. Yeah. I'm used to running around on the beach with my my shorts on and my flip-flops.
Right.
Yeah, so it was a different lifestyle. So after about a year and a half, I ran away, and you know, I was on the run for about 6 or 7 months, and you know, ended up going back to my mom's house. They had moved to Louisiana since then, but you know, a bad thing really happened when I moved in with my dad. They put my two brothers in a nursing home, and because I was taking care of them. And you know, that was a big trauma for me too, because whose fault do you think that was?
Right.
Well, whose fault?
You thought
Me, because I thought it was my fault.
Right.
But it really wasn't.
Right.
And I didn't resolve that until I was in my early 50s.
Wow.
You know, God revealed that to me one day, and man, He said, I was reading in Hebrews chapter 12. It says, you know, since we're surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside the weight and the sin. And as soon as I read that, it was like God said, you're carrying a weight that it's not sin.
Taking a lot of stuff on us that really ain't us.
Right, man. I just, you know, He released me of that right then, you know, and from that guilt and shame that I had all those years. But yeah, but because of all the things that happened in my childhood, I started using drugs, of course, you know, to compensate and self-medicate, because I didn't know how to handle those feelings and emotions that I was experiencing. And you know, one thing led to another, and pretty soon I was, you know, a full-blown junkie.
Wow.
And my whole
So
life
how old was you when you started using?
I was 12.
Oh, you started, wow.
Yeah.
So what was the first drug you used?
I was beer and marijuana.
Right. So people think, oh man, I'm just drinking, I'm just smoking some weed.
Right.
But man, the enemy just want a little piece.
Yeah.
Right. You know?
People don't think that it opens it up to other things, but it does.
I was deathly afraid of needles.
Right.
I'm telling you, they had to hold me down to draw blood.
Right. So you're thinking, nah, ain't no way I'm ever gonna do.
But at 18, you know, that's, you know, when I found that.
What was you using? Heroin?
It was cocaine to start with.
Yeah.
But the first time I hit cocaine, it was on.
Right.
You know, my fear of needles was overcame.
Gone, right.
Yeah, it was gone. So, you know, I was just a full-blown junkie for most of my life, and yeah.
So all right, so at 18 you started, you got on the needle. At 18 you started using cocaine. How long was so that stretched out how long?
Until I was in my late 40s.
Wow, so people
42.
probably done counted you out like, oh man.
Oh yeah, plenty of times.
He's a junkie, he ain't never coming back from that.
Right.
So what happened, you said, until 40, what happened at 40?
Well, I was 42, but
42.
I was homeless, living under a bridge in Atlanta, Georgia. And,
doing whatever you could do to get your high.
Yeah,
wow.
And I came to the end of myself. I'd been through 7 or 8 other programs and trying to, you know, I wanted to be, you know, I wanted to be free from that, but I just didn't know how.
Right.
Man, you know, that's crazy. Because I think a lot of times people look at somebody and they say, they're just a mess up. Well, if they really wanted to be clean, they would be clean.
Right.
But that ain't always the case.
Yeah.
Like you said, you didn't know how to get clean.
I didn't. I didn't know, but I needed to deal with my past before I could move forward in my future.
Man, that's so true.
You know? And once I started resolving all this trauma that was in my life and seeing that, you know, that it really wasn't my identity.
Wow.
You know, and I don't know if I can say this on TV or
Man,
not, but my stepfather, you know, all the abuse that he put on me, and then the words he spoke, you know, something that really lasted in my life was, he said, "You wiry-haired little bastard, you'll never amount to anything."
Right.
And you're carrying that with you the whole.
I'm carrying that. I mean, I'd get a job and I'd rise to the top, you know, and I'd look down and say, well, I don't really deserve to be here because I'm that guy.
Right.
Right. And the truth was, I wasn't that guy.
Right.
I'd do something to sabotage that so I can confirm what I believe.
Man.
Once I resolved that belief, my behavior changed.
So really, and you know, there's a lot of people out there probably thinking, I got a drug problem, I got a alcohol problem.
No.
It's not really they have a drug problem as much as they have an identity problem.
That's right.
You know, and that's so you got, as soon as you started getting your identity dealt with, and I think that's what people are like, I just can't get free from this.
Right.
You don't need to get free from this. You need to get free from something that happened to you, some unforgiveness or some bitterness or an identity problem like in your situation.
Drugs and alcohol are just the tip of that's what everybody sees.
Right.
What's underneath is what sunk the Titanic.
Right. What caused it?
And people keep trying to deal with the symptom.
Right.
You know, and he don't want to change. He don't want to change. They're not dealing with the root. The real issue was what's your identity problem.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. So what was the shift? I mean, all right, so you went from 18 to 42.
Right.
You know, the world saying, he's a junkie, they done counted you out. So what shifted?
You know, I read a book by Neil Anderson called Victory Over the Darkness.
Wow.
And it was the second time I'd read it, and it really started to impact my life. The subtitle is Realizing the Power of Your Identity in Christ.
Wow.
And once I started applying those truths to my life, and then the lies that I had believed began to just melt away, and I started believing that truth, my life started changing. My behavior started changing.
Wow.
Behavior follows belief.
So you went from being homeless, so you was homeless?
Yeah.
Was you homeless when you read the book?
No.
You wasn't homeless?
No, I was in a program. I was in Renewed Life Ministries.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
Okay, y'all, listen. He's in Renewed Life Ministry. So and that ministry was in the same place at the time?
It was in Woodbury.
It was in Woodbury. All right, we're in Tennessee. So you go from Atlanta, Georgia. You was on the streets, homeless, and you got into a program, Renewed Life Ministries, in Woodbury, Tennessee, out in the middle of
nowhere.
Nothing.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? Like y'all don't know. Some of y'all are like, what the heck is Woodbury, Tennessee? It's nothing. It's just but it's a cool town. But I ain't trying to say nothing.
Got to drive in.
It's got to drive in. But it's and probably back then it probably really wasn't nothing.
It wasn't anything.
It still ain't nothing. Yeah. So I mean, it's a good city, but it ain't a whole lot going on there. So you was in Woodbury, and what's so significant about Renewed Life is you went into that program, you got delivered in that program, and now how long ago was that?
That was in 2003. Let me tell you, man, it's never the program.
Right.
It's always our response to the gospel.
Wow.
You know, and when I came to Renewed Life, it provided me a safe environment to
start. You was just ready.
I was ready.
Right.
You know, I've been to a lot of programs.
Right. Probably a lot of good programs.
A lot of good programs, and you know, when I went, I was emotionally and physically broken.
Right.
Wow.
One thing I never experienced until I came to Renewed Life was a spiritual brokenness.
Wow.
To where I knew I could not live life on life's terms without Christ living inside of me.
Right.
And when I started submitting to that and realizing that, you know, I'm a type A personality, man, I can do anything. I mean, I can knock doors down, I can bowl people.
I can get clean, I can do this, I can do this.
Right. But I can't.
Right.
And when I finally came to that realization that you know, I can't without him, but with him I can do all things.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's been the game changer for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I think that's so powerful because I think a lot of times people think, well, if I can just find the right program or the right person or the right church or the right, and you know, like there's a lot of good churches, there's a lot of good people, but man, y'all, like you said, until you found I can't do this without Christ.
Right.
You know, because I'm like that in a lot of ways. Like, no, I'm just gonna will myself through this.
Right.
And I'm gonna tell you that's brought me to a lot of dead ends in my life, a lot of hard roads in my life. No, I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Man, I can't do it.
You can't.
You know?
He never designed us to do it.
Right.
Jeremiah 2:13 says, "My people have committed two evils. They have forsaken me, the fountain of living waters, and they have honed out for themselves cisterns, broken cisterns that can hold no water."
Wow.
We try to find our satisfaction in what the world has to offer, and at the end of the day, it's all running out and we're empty.
Yeah. And it's two things that you said along your journey that brought forth your deliverance that I think, like in programs, I don't know if they focus a lot on that, but you said that there was things in your past that you dealt with.
Right.
And after you dealt with those things, those things were inside you. Those things were causing problems in you internally. But when you dealt with those things and they were removed, you put Christ in that place.
That's right.
Yeah. And that's what brought forth the deliverance.
Amen.
And if anybody is watching, you know, that's something I've heard so many people that are going through addictions and dealing with this and dealing with that, and they done been to a bunch of programs and they did not work. What he did was, just like everyone, we go through things and our life and our brain are like gum. And we go through and stuff sticks. And before you know it, we got problems and we got issues that we need to deal with. What he did, he got those things dealt with from his past. After he did that, those things were removed. He put Christ in there.
Amen.
Hey, Derek, so now you go to Renewed Life, and what's so, I think, because I've been to Renewed Life. It's an awesome program. And like you said, it's not the program, but it's the Christ in the program.
Right.
But you're the director of the program now.
Right.
You went from being in the program to being over the program.
Right.
And, you know, there's probably a lot of people out there, man, the world has counted them out. There's probably a lot of people watching right now that's addicted to, you know, heroin's an epidemic right now in our country.
Right.
You know, I mean, everything's an epidemic in our country right now. There's probably a lot of people out there, and I think the world tries to give you your identity like, you're done, you're a junkie, you ain't never gonna be nothing, you're never gonna have nothing, and, you know, people start writing you off.
Right.
You know, there's probably a lot of people out there right now who's watching, like, man, you know, how does this man go from, you know, being on the streets, being homeless, to now, man, you're not just, you know, deliver, you're making a huge impact in our community.
Amen.
You know, and I mean, what would you say to these people out there who like, what's the first step? Like, if they're flat out, strung out, or, you know, and it ain't even got to be drugs. You know, there's lots of addictions. You can be whatever, you know, but what would you say to somebody who just finds themselves like, I'm hopeless?
Right.
What would you say to somebody?
Well, first you got to have a want to want to.
Right. If you don't want it, don't matter what somebody say.
Right. Once you get past that, then you got to make a decision to ask someone for help.
Wow.
Because we can't do this on our own.
Right.
You
So
know, we need a community.
Right.
You know, the answer to addiction is community.
Wow.
Community, and you said, you know, I was able to get that out. How did I get that out? By getting through to other people, talking to other people about it, expressing to, you know, it says confess your sins one to another and you'll be healed, right? So, you know, that's the whole answer. I think the answer to addiction is community. Get into a community, get into an area, get into with people who are like-minded, who understand what you're going through, and you can make change in your life. And that's what happened to me.
So that's a good first step. If you're out there right now
and
you're stuck, you're like, I don't know what to do. You know, find somebody who's like-minded, that's Christ-centered, that can begin to walk you through it and not judge you and love you and bring you through. And y'all, I want y'all to look Derek up. Look up Renewed Life Ministries, man. They're doing awesome work here in Tennessee. And y'all, that's all the time. We're not done. We got another segment. We're gonna jump into another clip. But man, y'all keep it locked. This is Change TV.